clocks are ticking down from today on what will be a brutal election campaign. Are there any different campaigns than being brutal? We'll need to ignore the fear tactics. We'll hear plenty of that, especially towards the end. And then the phony allegations need to be ignored. We've got to fully determine what both sides are truthfully offering, which is really difficult in some election campaigns. There's certainly no love lost between the two leaders, and we've seen some fiery clashes between ministers and their opposites in recent months, especially in question time. Joining me now is Liberal Senator and retired Major General Jim Molan, who's very likely to be returned as a New South Wales Senator. Let's keep our fingers crossed for that. Jim, g'day. Good to have your company.
Chris, good to be here. They say it's winnable. I've still got to win it, mate.
Yes, you've got to walk the talk. Yes, if Labor is favoured here as we begin our 6-week campaign, and the vote goes the way of the polls in a minority fashion or even in a majority, does it figure that voters go and vote maybe for the Liberals in the Senate to balance the ledger, or is all of that stuff a misnomer?
I think it's a bit of a misnomer, Chris. I don't see that. In the limited experience that I haven't seen that happen, and I've been very, very careful about counting votes above and below the line in the past. I don't think they do that. I think what gets you Senate votes is a presence at every single ballot box across the entire state. Whether you've got a candidate running, whether you've got a candidate that's likely to win, we need people there to say to people, vote in the Senate as well as in the House of Reps. The Senate, the House of Reps will give you governance, but the Senate will give you the ability to actually govern.
Yeah, very true. What were your impressions, your first impressions of day one as opening salvos from both major leaders?
Yeah, I was pretty happy with the way the day went. It was the first official day, therefore it's very, 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 very important. It was a kind of a funny day for me because I did all of it from home and was assisting candidates from home, and we listened. The PM spoke to us. We listened to his speeches. The choice, which was very, very clear, Chris, in my view, came out. The choice was between what you know and who you can trust. And I think for regional New South Wales, I think that's very, very important. I've got a number of electorates that I'm responsible for: Eden Monaro, Gilmore, Patterson, Dobell. I'll get to Shortland. I'll get to Whitlam. I'll talk national security, Chris, but I'll talk about jobs. I'll talk about tax. I'll talk about investment, not just in roads and other things, but in essential services. I'll talk about defence and security. I'll show how we're leading the world, taking the lead from the Prime Minister on growth, on jobs, on debt, on and how we are, how well we've done coming out of COVID in relation to minimising fatalities and maximising vaccinations. And I'll just ask the question after today. I'll ask the question, why change?
Yeah. Labor has been playing the man repeatedly in the past 6 months. I wonder whether this can backfire if they focus too much on Scott Morrison. By the time we get to about the 4th week or the 5th week, we start to see it as a overused tactic and a cheap tactic, and it can backfire, can't it?
Oh, it certainly can backfire. People will make up their own minds. And I heard Holly's comments before about the popularity of Prime Ministers. You know, I'm a person who spent all my life in an area of leadership which can be very, very tough and very, very nasty. The consequences of error is death. And I have seen good leaders and I've seen bad leaders in the military. And I look at Scott Morrison and I see a very, very good leader who is being attacked in the most appalling way, but not just by Labor, by trolls across the country in a way which I find absolutely disgusting. Now, all we've got to do is stick to our policies, stick to our lines, and stick to our choice. And I think the Australian people will follow us.
You must be concerned, though, about how much on the nose the Liberal Party is in places like WA and South Australia. And look, the reverse argument to that is, well, hang on a minute, it'll be won or lost in New South Wales. What's your view on WA and South Australia?
Yeah, it's I'm very relieved that Queensland seems to be, in a fairly normal way, following us. But Queenslanders are strange voters. We know that at state and federal elections, they swing incredibly. In Western Australia, I can't comment on Western Australia. Chris, I spend all my time looking at southeast part of New South Wales, so I won't comment on there. But what every member has got to do, what every senator's got to do, is get out there and work and point out the consequences of this choice. And I think that if we do it enough for 41, 42 days, then I think we'll crack it.
And tell me we won't get one of those dysfunctional minority governments where some of the independents and their private little concerns end up taking priority on the Australian stage?
Yeah, I certainly hope so. And I see nothing but confusion from these minority governments around the world. And, people hold up New Zealand as an example of the way we should go. Well, no, I don't want that. I want good, decisive leadership that produces results, and minority governments don't produce results.
Correct. Jim Molan, all the very best for the next 6 weeks, and we'll talk soon.